Hello everyone, my name is Arno Harthold and I'm joined by Sharon Mosguy. We are part of the University of Southern California Institute for Creative Technologies. We will be talking about VITA OCS, the Virtual Interactive Training Agent for the Office of Community Services. It's a tool we developed at ICF and it's something that you all can use. And our intent with VITA is to provide a tool free of charge that allows low-income individuals to practice job interviews in a safe environment, allowing them to practice selling their own skills and practice emotional regulation, all with the goal of gaining confidence and the ability to self-promote themselves in order to gain employment. Now, we are part of USC ICT. We will give a brief overview of that. After that, we will talk about virtual humans, these interactive digital characters, give you an overview of VITA OCS, and then a demo of the actual application. So our institute is located in Los Angeles, the creative capital of the world. We have a lot of areas that focus on the creative elements, obviously the Hollywood entertainment industry. There's also a lot of startups in our area. Many people call it Silicon Beach. And what we do is we combine these different elements, research, as well as the creative elements to do basic research, applied research, and advanced prototyping. And we do that to teach, to train, to assess, and to heal. And within that, we use a lot of novel technologies. We have a couple of core areas of expertise. Graphics research is one of them. A lot of areas we focus on are virtual reality, augmented reality, virtual humans that we'll discuss in more detail after this, and artificial intelligence. We add to that learning sciences, really digging deep into how do people learn, how can we effectively teach and train people, and all of that is happening within a simulation and training environment. Virtual humans then are the specific technology that we use here within VITA, and they are embodied digital interactive characters. A character like you see here on the right, somebody who can interpret a user's input and communicate back. And that gives you a range of different advantages. They are scalable, so we can create a character once and then deploy it to hundreds of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. They're always available. They're consistent, so you always get the same interaction rather than, say, human role players. They are standardized, allowing us to teach and train and to assess people in a unified way. But we can customize these characters. We can give them different personalities or have them be able to address individual preferences. Now, with these virtual humans as tools, we've created many different applications within the ICT Institute. You can see an example here, an overview of all the different shapes and sizes of different characters and different systems and different applications that we created. VITA is one example of that. VITA allows a user to practice job interviews. So we have a range of different characters, these digital characters, and they are digital interviewers. And it allows a user to practice different kinds of job interviews in a safe environment. You just practice over and over again and become familiar with what it's like to have a job interview and to talk about yourself and to answer common questions within that interview. We've created a couple of different versions of VITA. We started with a version for young adults with autism, allowing them to really sell themselves and their skills, which they have, but they may have trouble conveying those skills in a social interaction. Again, VITA allows you to practice these kinds of conversations. We created a version for military veterans, soldiers who are having a range of different skills that they have learned while on deployment, then need to talk about how they can translate these skills to the civilian world. We created a version for opportunity youth, talking about their background, talking about some of the challenges they have faced. And now with ICF, a version for low-income individuals. And these low-income individuals could be part of any of these groups. Some of them may be veterans. Some of them may have been incarcerated in the past. It's important that we offer them a platform to talk about themselves in a positive and honest way. So what VITA OCS gives you is a tool that provides you with a range of different characters and situations. You see here 6 different characters, both genders, different ethnicities, different ages, and each of these characters has three dispositions. They can be friendly, they can be neutral, or they can be unfriendly. And that allows you to practice these job interviews almost in a ramping up of difficulty, starting with somebody who's really nice to you and ending with somebody who's maybe less nice and more terse, and being able to handle the different kinds of personalities that you may come across. The content that we selected for this VITA OCS version is tailored to low-income individuals, and we have different interview locations to provide context for these conversations. When a user is interacting with these characters, there's two modes that we offer, a coach mode and a solo mode. And the coach mode allows you to practice with another person. That could be a coach, could be a friend, could be a coworker, and that person is controlling what the character says, while the person who's practicing is sitting in front of a screen. It could be a computer, it could be a large TV, as you see here on the right. And a large TV is nice because you have a life-size character that you're interacting with, which is really helpful in terms of practicing these kinds of interaction. But there's a solo mode as well. You can do that easily on the desktop or on the laptop, and you can practice individually. Applying what you've learned and practicing again in a safe environment, talking about yourself and answering common questions. I will show you a movie that provides a couple of examples and highlights of how this system works and how people interact with these characters.
We provide a background environment that's very similar to some of the environments that they'll be interviewing in. We have 4 to 6 different locations right now that we change it up. One's in a snack room, one's in an office manager's room, one's in the back of a warehouse. So we try to make it as immersed as possible to what they will really be going through.
This job requires you to do some work on your own. For example, working in the back taking inventory. Do you enjoy working by yourself?
Yes, I do, sir. Yes, I have no problem with that.
Even early on right now, the results are pretty astounding. You can see them really warming up to the avatars. You can start seeing smiles. You see them really starting to really cooperate. And even their answers are starting to become longer and a lot more explicit in terms of what their skills and their strengths.
It taught me what to say and what to do and how to say it. And a lot of the negatives and pros, and that's what's helping me with an interviewing process. My negatives and my pros.
Okay, thank you, Arno. So what does a VITA practice interview consist of? Job interviews in real life generally take on a predictable structure or arc, and this arc was used to inform our virtual human script. This arc consists of 10 to 12 standard job interview questions broken up into 6 steps. In the first step, interviewees practice introductory statements consistent with social norms. Hello, how are you doing? I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. Things along those lines. And it also gives them an opportunity to settle into the interview, calm their nerves, and really prepare for the questions that are to come. In step 2, there's an opportunity for the users to practice their self-advocacy skills and highlight their personal experience and strengths. In step 3, it's all about self-promotion and continuing to help candidates get comfortable talking about themselves and connecting their personal strengths to the job opportunity. In step 4, interviewees can practice a behavioral or situational question related to the position. In step 5, there's a focus on the day-to-day practicalities of the job. So things like hours, interviewee availability, transportation constraints, things of this nature. In step 6, it's the end of the interview. So here there will be an emphasis on socially appropriate closings to bring everything to a nice, tidy end. So these 6 steps are in service of overcoming the barriers to employment that VITA users will likely face in the job market. And it will help to close the confidence gap that our users often experience. VITA can also provide an opportunity to practice discussing sticky topics, such as employment gaps, periods of incarceration, childcare needs, and transportation challenges. So, okay, in that video, you saw one individual coach talking about her experience working with VITA, but what does the empirical evidence show? In a study with 153 participants, all young adults on the autism spectrum, independent coaches who viewed videos of these participants over 4 VITA sessions scored those interviewees as improving their interview skill capabilities. And the users themselves, our participants, rated themselves as having a higher level of self-efficacy. So their confidence was going up over these interviews. In another study looking at veterans, 93% of these veteran candidates who used VITA in preparation to obtain employment did in fact secure a job. And after 6 months, 88% of them retained that position. All right, so we've got some good outcomes here, but let's take a look at the actual tool.
Cool, thank you, Sharon. So I will provide a demo of what VITA actually is. So this is all downloadable by you. You can contact ICF for a download link. It comes with a manual that walks you through how to set all of this up and how to operate it. Typically, it opens up in a coach mode. So there's one screen for the coach and one screen for the user. Normally, you would have it on 2 separate screens, obviously, because we're doing this remotely. Everything is on one screen. So at times, this may feel a little bit crowded. In your own setup, it would be something like this. So we're starting VITA. We can enter the actual main menu. And here is where you configure the interaction. So we start with looking at the different characters that we have. You can cycle through the different characters that we offer. These are the virtual interviewers, so the characters that the user will interact with. Once you've selected that particular character, you can now look at the disposition. So do you want this character to be a neutral personality, or maybe in a hostile or a friendly one? And then after that, the different kinds of backgrounds. So is it a break room? Is it a conference room? Are there different kinds of offices, including more specific job environments like a hotel lobby or a restaurant? And again, many of these are more general purpose backgrounds. So we'll pick a nice office here, and we will start with the solo practice session. So this is something that individuals who are interested in practicing job interviews can do on their own. You launch the scenario, the character will walk in, and you can start talking to them. So I will show you a couple of examples of what these characters say, what they ask, how they behave. Normally, a person looking for a job and practicing that would talk back. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to show you what these characters say.
Hi, thank you so much for coming in. It's really nice to meet you. How are you? I'm glad you're here. In a minute, we'll get into some of the questions about the job. But before we do, why don't you tell me about yourself? So now's your chance to brag a little bit. What do you think is your greatest strength? Now, everyone has something they would like to change or improve. What is it about yourself you would like to improve?
So you get a sense of what the personality of these characters is. So she's asking questions and she's easing you into the conversation. As Sharon mentioned, there's an arc to these conversations. The questions will become more specific. It touches on a lot of different topics, and it really invites you, especially on the friendly disposition of these characters, to open up, to talk about yourself, and to sell yourself to a future employer. Now, when you're done with practicing, you can complete a session, you can get a transcript of that session, and then you can pick up a different configuration. So we can look at a different character and make this character neutral, have a different background. And what I'm going to do now is select the coach mode. So here, a coworker or a coach or a friend is controlling what the character is saying. And again, normally you would see this on separate screens. So we're going to show both screens sort of side by side in a little bit of a squished session. So on the left here, you see what the coach would see. It's a panel that allows you to control the character. And on the right, you see what the user would see, the actual character. Now, this may look a little bit intimidating, but at the core of it, it's fairly easy. You can go through an interview by just clicking on these buttons here.
Hi, how's it going? Before we get started, is there anything you want to tell me about yourself? So now I'm going to ask you a few questions to try to get to know you. Tell me, how would you rate your ability to communicate with others?
So you can just go through this interview and you can listen to what the user is saying, and based on that, you can have the character say very specific things. So for instance,
Please tell me more.
or
How would you apply that to this job?
or maybe they elaborate on something and you want to acknowledge that before moving on to the next question. So a user answers and then you say,
Okay. What are some of your other strengths?
so this allows you to sculpt and shape a conversation in order to have a little bit more an extensive conversation with the user. Similarly, at the end of the scenario, you can exit, you can look at the transcript, you can choose a different character, or maybe a different disposition, or a different background. So what it shows you is a tool that, again, we've created based on our research, based on a lot of virtual humans work that we've done in the past, working with ICF to create a version specifically for OCS, allowing you to help people find a job, allowing you to distribute this tool to have people that may need to look for a job, practice these kinds of conversations in a safe environment, to build their confidence, to reduce the barrier of employment, and to help them get to their next job. And with that, both Sharon and I thank you very much. Our contact information is right here. And if you have specific questions for VITA OCS, you can email ICF at the email listed here. Thank you very much for your attention.